Now, here in Nigeria, the Attorney General has asked the Supreme Court to dismiss the lawsuit filed by 3 state governors, which has halted the introduction of new Naira notes. Last November, Nigeria's central bank redesigned the 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira banknotes aimed at curbing soaring inflation, cash hoarding, counterfeiting and some say vote buying during the election. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court temporarily suspended Friday's deadline to stop using old banknotes, which had caused a cash crisis in the country. Attorney General Abubakar Malami argues that the Supreme Court lacks the jurisdiction to rule on issues the lawsuit raises. Well, Arise political editor Sambo joins me now in the studio for more on this. Good to see you, Samna. This has gone beyond being just a financial crisis. It's now become a legal as well as a major political crisis. What's the latest?
Yeah, we've seen the case actually moving from being an economic and monetary policy dovetailing into a political issue and now ending up as a legal issue. We've seen the Attorney General saying that the federal government is considering taking a case to the Supreme Court, filing a suit to counter the Supreme Court over the jurisdiction of the matter, saying that the case is not between the Federation and the states, and so the states shouldn't have been listened to by the Supreme Court, that the case ought to have been filed at the Federal High Court, and then it migrates to the Court of Appeal, and then possibly to the Supreme Court, because the case is not directly between the Federation and the states, but that of an agency of the federal government, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria, which has some measures of independence, and as a result of that, the states shouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court to file. And then moreover, they are saying that some of the political solutions being sought by President Buhari were yet to be fully explored before some of these state governors went. And it looks like the governing party is actually troubled, because, I mean, this is a problem started by the governing party, and members of the governing party are taking the federal government led by the APC to court, and they're getting a judgment against the court. And then the Attorney General, who happens to be in the government of the APC, is also saying that they're going to counter the Supreme Court's ex parte order. And so a lot of Nigerians are confused what's going on, and if the ruling party actually is not distracting Nigerians ahead of the elections that are up in the next 2 weeks or thereabout.
Well, it sounds absolutely extraordinary, and you mentioned the elections. Is all this likely to affect that election, and in what possible way?
Well, the intention of the government was actually to ensure that the monetary policy is targeted at reducing the cash in circulation from about 3.2 trillion naira. 1/3 of it is actually meant to be in circulation within the new Naira notes that were put in place. And so the intention of the government, from what we have heard, is actually to also discourage vote buying, because in the previous 2 elections that we've had, elections in Ekiti and Osun states, governorship elections, we've seen vote buying being a major issue. So this could have been a temporary measure put in place by President Buhari, whose decision to provide Nigerians a lasting legacy in terms of providing free, fair and credible election seems like the only thing that can stand him out amidst the chaotic situations that the APC-led federal government seems to have provided to Nigerians, because a lot of people are saying that there are several policy inconsistencies by the President Buhari administration, and so he is saying that, look, if we follow this monetary policy strictly, there's a tendency that we'll have free, fair and credible elections, because vote buying will be cut out, and of course the cash in circulation will be reduced. The issues of kidnapping, which is rampant, kidnappers collecting ransom in cash, will be reduced. And of course this cashless policy of the federal government has been in place for over 10 years now. We are surprised that the central bank over the years has been staying away from doing it, but the central bank governor Godwin Emefiele says that his decision was more about political issues, and so it was difficult for previous presidents to take this decision, and he's grateful to President Buhari for giving him the comfort zone to be able to do this Naira redesign.
And of course, the fallout from this cash swap issue has been a cash crunch. Has that improved at all?
We've seen some measures of improvement since the bank banks were asked as at Monday to open up their banking halls and allow people to actually withdraw through over the counter. Previously, it was only through the ATMs that distribution was allowed. We've seen some measures, but it's still not enough. And we've heard the central bank saying that they've deployed some new strategies. Areas where cash is not so much needed across the country, they've asked some of those banks to actually bring monies back to the central bank so that it can be distributed to cities within parts of the country where demand is very high. Those strategies actually seem to have been working between Monday to Wednesday, but we've seen as if, as we're going into the weekend, the queues seem to be coming up again. So President Buhari had given the governors asked that they should be given 7 days to be able to look into it. And the 7 days will be expiring on the 10th. So we'll wait to see tomorrow if indeed a new policy will not be put in place, because it's been terribly difficult for Nigerians. I mean, I don't have cash myself, just like many of us. I was going to ask you for some money. But the cashless policy has been very helpful. I mean, a lot of people are beginning to know that they can actually do a lot of things without using cash. And Charles, Arise News actually did a report where we learned that the prices of commodities are reducing in parts of the country because of this new cashless policy. So it has its up and down, but of course there are some positive aspects too. Very interesting indeed. Sumner, thank you very much. Sumner Sambo is Arise political editor.